Welcome everybody to the Brand Own Zone. Today I have a special guest on the show, Mr. Creighton Wong. He's an SEO expert right in my field with what I love so much. So I appreciate him coming on the show. He's the founder of Exponential Clients, a digital marketing firm built on the belief that massively growing a business always starts with a deep research and gathering the very best data. He's a curious world traveler, an adventurous foodie, and a global nomad who met his beautiful wife while working in Da Nang, Vietnam. He's a former competitive triathlete while missing his right leg and several digits of his hand, has finished the New York City Triathlon twice. It was the escape from, help me with that one. Escape from
Alcatraz over
That's
there
it.
in San
Escape from
Francisco.
Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Man, you overcome. I'm sure you got a powerful story for us, man, along with some marketing tips and marketing advice, man. And first of all, just thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh man, happy to be here and excited to be here with you, my friend.
Great. We're excited to have you. So tell me a little bit how you started your agency and the foundation of the agency, what kind of services you offer.
Yeah, I mean, I actually kind of got into digital marketing on accident. Once upon a time, I started an app. We were helping the solopreneurs out there to help them run their business, and we were marketing. And I made probably the biggest mistake that you could possibly make in a business. It was like, okay, cool. I'll focus on, building this incredible application. And what I did was I hired out a firm to do with the digital marketing. But the sin wasn't hiring out the firm. The sin was I abdicated my responsibility to pay attention to the marketing. And to this day, I still don't even know fully what they did, with all the money and the resources that I put into it. And so, yeah, that was a hard lesson, a hard failure. And so I started studying digital marketing on my own with, first of all, I wanted to learn it. I ended up liking it because what digital marketing allows me to do is to really feed both the left side and the right side of my brain. There's a lot of creativity that goes into branding and marketing. And at the same time, it's not about, or it's not 100% about emotions, because it's all about the data that's coming back. There's a very, very analytical side of things. And so the more I dove into it, the more I educated myself and practiced and learned it, the more, just the more into it I got. And so eventually I opened up, my own agency. And, when I got into it, I fully, I understand what it feels like to be on the other side of the table, what it feels like to sit there and say, man, I've got to make this thing work because, I'm on, a short leash or a short budget. And, so I completely empathize with with my clients, with my prospects on the other side of the table. And so we wanted to just really build something that took care of them, that understood their situation, and really to deliver something at such a high quality level. Because like most entrepreneurs, I mean, there's a piece of you that's in your business. And that's really a hard thing to trust somebody else to do as good of a job as you would if you had those skill sets.
Yeah, and I appreciate your mind and how you're so adamant about giving the client a quality result. I know there's a lot of people out here chasing the dollar, chasing the sale. They're great salesmen, but never follow through with quality work or and making the industry just look bad as a whole. So I appreciate what you're doing, just putting out quality work and willing to, make that your priority, because from you speaking, that's your main objective was to bring your client results and ensure that they have a quality campaign or project.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's
and
great.
from a business standpoint, it's like we view every single client we onboard um, as a partnership, because so we don't, for example, try and lock people into 12-month or 24-month contracts or anything like that. We go month to month because we want to earn your business every single month. And I can tell you, everybody that I meet that is somehow stuck in a long-term relationship, they hate it. They absolutely hate it because they feel trapped inside of it. And to me, if you're not willing to view it as a partnership, if you're not willing to go out and earn that business every single month, then how confident are you in the job that you're doing?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And I did that. A lot of people told me to put people in a contract, 6-month, 12-month type contract, but it just didn't sit right with my conscience. I'm like, I do not want to lock anybody in, on a contract. So all of mine are month to month as well. And I have
Yeah.
good relationships with my clients, and it's really that partnership. And so I know things come up in life such as COVID-19, and I would hate to try to push something on someone like, no, we have a 12-month contract. You have to roll with these punches with me. So
For sure. And I got hit by COVID also. I've got several clients that, for example, the restaurants and the cafes, they close their business. So they called me up and they put things on pause. Well, that means no income, but what am I going to do? Hey, I want to run this Facebook ad, or I want to run this SEO for your company when your doors aren't even open. That's not just because I got a contract. It's like, no, real life is real life. And, and like I said, most of the guys that are in the long term. Now, having said that, I tell people that, when we're getting into the SEO and we start going over the research, of course, the question always comes up, what's the timeline that I can expect to be on the first page? Well, each situation is unique and different, and we give an honest assessment. Well, hey, look, at this at this package level, it might take us up to 6 months. At this package level, it might take us as little as 2 or 3, and it depends on the competition and all these different factors. And so then I get the clients come in and say, well, we're in for 6 months, and I said, all right, okay, that's good. I want you to mentally be prepared for 6 months, but I'm still putting you on a month-to-month contract, because I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire.
Yeah. And I appreciate you doing that. I do the same thing. And speaking of SEO, I know my show isn't really niche down. It's the brand own zone. It's really about marketing, selling, different industries.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the audience may not know exactly what SEO is, or they may have heard of it and just know, oh, it's to get you number one on Google. But can you kind of explain to the audience what SEO is, what it entails, and if someone's looking to get into SEO, what steps should they take?
Yeah. So on a real basic level, SEO is search engine optimization. The big daddy of them all when it comes to search engines is Google. But there are other search engines that you should be aware of. For example, if you are a restaurant or a hotel, you have to realize that TripAdvisor is a search engine. And so you need to optimize your profile on TripAdvisor so that you show up in the TripAdvisor results. Some people don't go to Google. Or, by the way, if you try to Google best restaurant, in your area, guess what? That first result is going to be the 10 best restaurants in your area, and it's a TripAdvisor link, right? So think a little bit bigger than Google. There are a lot of other search engines that are out there. People don't realize this, but YouTube is a search engine. Why? It's a search engine for videos. I mean, and because of places like YouTube, I don't even, I don't own any instruction books anymore. Like when I want to do something in Adobe Photoshop, because the book that I bought is obsolete in 6 months, I just go to YouTube and I look for a video on like, oh, here's how to color eyes or insert an image. Pinterest is a huge search engine. Amazon is a huge search engine. That's why people set up Amazon shops. So to think of search is really to think of what are the search engines that I belong on. In other words, where are my ideal clients hanging out? Okay, and Google's always going to be one of those answers, but there's also going to be a lot of these other sub search engines that are really important too. And so what are we talking about? We're talking about get on the first page of Google. Why? Because, and just think about it. Let's just say you're a dentist, and I've moved to a new area. I've moved to Nashville, Tennessee, where you're at, and I need a new dentist. And I sit there and I type in dentist in Nashville, Tennessee, or dentist in near me. 75% of Google searchers never make it past the second page. 93% never make it past the second page. Okay, so if you're on the third page and over, you've got a 7% chance that they even show up, see your listing, let alone whether they click on it and go through to you. All right, so what does that mean? We want to really, really be on that first, on that first page. And what we really want to do is, especially when it comes to brick and mortar locations, is we really want to be in that 3-pack. Because if you're in that 3-pack, you've got like a 33% click-through rate on that. And so all those eyeballs are going to hit your site, or you have a very high probability of hitting those sites. The reality of it is, look, it doesn't matter if you're the best. Insert your profession, right? You're the best dentist, you're the best CPA, you're the best personal injury attorney. You just go down the list. It doesn't matter. What matters is, can you be found in that moment, in the heat of the search when somebody's looking for you? And if you're not on the first page of Google, you're probably not it. And all you got to do is think about your own personal experience. When was the last time you did a search on Google for a local business? Did you get past the first page? Because if you didn't, and you're thinking about your own business now, think about this. Do you even exist if you're on the second page or the third page and beyond?
Yeah. So everyone wants to be on the first page, and so having an understanding of a search engine, what a search engine is, that's the core foundation of a search engine optimization manager's job. So he's basically managing things that change constantly, and maybe you can speak on how constantly things are changing, what things that you're looking at to manage. I know that's a big, broad question. Like, we'll just say, like, what are some of the things on a page that you may be looking at that, just very rudimentary, like, we all know.
Sure. So I want to come at this with, from two angles for you. So the first is relevance, right? The first thing we want to do is we want to find what are the relevant searches for your particular business. And relevance happens in two ways, right? Is there enough search volume to justify spending the energy? And what I mean by energy, I mean the time and the money to rank number one for that keyword, okay? Because if you're not relevant, then it doesn't matter. So for example, let's say, again, I'm a dentist and my SEO firm is so great that they rank me on the first page of Nike. Well, it's great because there are probably like 1 million people that are searching Nike every single day, but it's not relevant to what you're doing. All those people, what is their search intent? their search intent is they're looking for shoes, and they're going to skip over your listing. So even though, right, you've got a lot of great potential traffic, you're not going to actually get real traffic. And then the second part of relevance is always finding like who's got that buyer's intent. And so again, I could rank on the first page for Eskimos in Africa. The search relevance isn't there from both a search volume because nobody's searching for it, and from a relevance in terms of somebody searching for Eskimos in Africa for some ungodly reason isn't looking for you as a insert profession, dentist, chiropractor, CPA, attorney. All right. So we need to do the research first and foremost to find out your relevance. I can tell you that, we bang this drum over and over and over. It's like the first thing we got to do is we got to do the homework, because without it, we could easily spend our time and our energy in the wrong rabbit hole. Okay. So I'll give you an example of that. We had a plastic surgeon come in, and, she patting herself on the back. She was doing really good because she ranked #1 for rhinoplasty. All right. Congratulations. I still want to do the research anyway. She's like, oh, okay, fine. Kind of twisted her arm a little bit, and she came through. So we start doing the research, and what we found was that while she was doing great with rhinoplasty, that's the medical term. That's the term that she uses. That's the term that her colleagues and her professors use. What we found, though, is that the lay people that were too early in the journey to know what the word rhinoplasty meant were looking on Google under nose job. And she was buried on like the 4th or 5th page when it came to nose job. So again, we looked at the relevance was there from a buyer's intent, and the relevance was there in terms of keyword and the search volume. And so we started paying attention there, and her, once we matriculated her up to the first page, her search traffic went up tenfold.
Oh man. And to be able to get that information, a lot of people don't really understand how we are able to read data. I know I'm a data nerd,
Yeah.
I have a hard time with choosing where I like to find my data from. I mean, you have Ahrefs, SEMrush, Moz, and so which one are you using? Are you using all of them, or which one's the best?
I mean, they're all really awesome tools, and we use multiple tools. A lot of them for different reasons, and I've got I use I like SERPstat because they have a great layout that's easy for non-experts to understand. And so I do a lot of my reports, free reports with SERPstat, and then when we a lot of times what we do is when we set up an appointment, we go in and it's like, okay, we're going to do the research. We do a Zoom call just like this, and we go in deeply and we show them, like we actually walk them through using stuff like Moz, using stuff like SEMrush, because we want to show them what it means to have domain authority. We want to show them what it means to be able to look, this is a keyword we're going to recommend because here's the traffic. And what's really wonderful is you don't have to be a complete rocket scientist. You kind of do to get into the weeds with it. But from a business owner standpoint, you don't have to be a rocket science. When you see this, and this is the fun part for me, is every time we sit down with somebody and we run them through, this audit, the light bulbs just start going off because they fully understand it. Yeah. So if you got your guy and they're just saying, oh, well, we want to just rank for this, 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 and this, and they're not actually going through using the tools, my team invests over 125 grand a year on these tools.
And I was just going to get to that right there. I was
I
going to
mean,
get
it
to
ain't
that.
cheap,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Because I'm like, if someone wants this service, they have to understand, like, just on a monthly basis, very minimum, just what I'm
Yeah.
using is hitting 1,000, close to 1,000 a month just for tools. I like Ahrefs for backlinking research,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
SEM Rush for reporting, and Mars doing keyword research, and Screaming Frog, just implementing all these things. And I have something where I just put them all together. That costs me, and getting proxies to do some more research. I mean, it costs,
It,
just for one
yeah.
audit. So, I
Well, you
mean,
bring up a good point, and I do want to get into this because one of the hardest parts, in our business is that there's this horrible race to the bottom.
yeah,
And quite frankly, if you want to find somebody cheaper, you can. I'll show you how to find somebody cheaper.
yeah,
And but I'll also tell you right here, right now, what you have to worry about. They might not, they probably don't have the tools that we're talking about that they invest in on a regular basis. They probably have a quote unquote magic bullet or one size fits all
yeah,
system, right?
yeah,
They like to call them systems,
yeah,
that they use. And so they're not going to actually do unique research to your unique business. And then the other thing you got to worry about is what we call in our industry black hat tactics. And without getting into the weeds too much, there's white hat, which is above board. Everything is in compliance, especially with Google. And black hat are these guys that are trying to gamify the system and beat the system at its own game. Well, here's the deal with black hat, and here's when you've been black hatted, is you're doing great, you're ranked, you've got results, maybe even super fast, and then boom, just like that, Google sends an algorithm update because Google is constantly trying to combat. Google wants the most relevant results, and if you're trying to game the system, you're the one that they're looking to punish. And so they're going to figure out the game. There's a lot of smart guys and a lot of smart engineers over that work there at Google, right? And they're going to figure it out, and they're going to punish your site. And so if you've ever seen your site on the very first page, and then all of a sudden you drop to 7 or 11 or 15, you sit there and wonder, well, what the heck happened? Well, whoever was working on your SEO was black hatting it, gamifying the system, and Google shut the game down.
Yeah. They're constantly updating. I know they just launched, I don't know how long ago, that Penguin update, but I mean, they're constantly updating, and we have to just comply. And like you said, it's some marketers out there that's just trying to get you those quick results and trying to beat the system. But after a while, you see that flat line on the chart.
Well, and that's what it goes to. You do get, you get what you pay for. I mean, if you think that you're going to pay, $200 or $250 and have somebody write content for you, I guarantee you it's being outsourced to India, Bangladesh, Philippines. And I guarantee you that the content that they write, you don't want representing your business and your brand on your website. Because it's not good quality stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some quality stuff, Creighton.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Ultimate Business Growth Playbook. Tell us a little bit about that playbook and how you're helping businesses grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So it came about, from partly because of my love for sports. And yes, I am suffering like everybody else is during the COVID without my sports as a nice distraction, but also as a para-triathlete and a competitor, success leaves clues. And it dawned on me at some moment that, success in sports be it on a team sport, be it on an individual sport, success in business, they really have a lot of the same fundamentals and the same core principles. And that's where the Ultimate Business Growth Playbook came about. It's not about the sexiest, latest tactic, right? Because the big craze right now is TikTok. Everybody wants to get in on TikTok. Well, I guarantee you that's going to be irrelevant to somebody who's listening to this maybe 6 to 12 months after we record this. And it's just going to be gone. And I can't even remember, there was a video platform. Everybody, this is the next greatest thing. And I don't even remember the name of it. And that was only like 3-4 years ago. So get away from the one size fits all, get away from the sexy magic bullet out there, and let's get back to fundamentals. And so I go over the 3 secrets. I've got a ton of case studies in there so you can see why these things are so important. And the very first step is research. And you think about it, what do all the best athletes on team sports talk about? Well, we knew this play would work because of what we saw in the film room. They're always talking about film study. Well, guess what? Did you know as a business that you can actually ethically spy on your competitors and what they're doing online with some of the tools that we've talked about? So we can actually see what they're being successful at, right? And we can model our game plan, which is, fundamental too. We can model our game plan after some of the things that they're doing and actually get faster results because we could discard the things that aren't, doing well. And you start thinking about it, there is a football championship team out there. There is a baseball championship team out there. Both of them thought film study was so great that they were both caught cheating and won championships doing it. Now we only do ethical spying with the tools that we've got, but that's why the research is so important. You start thinking about like our armed forces. What is the one thing that they value above all else? Intel. They've got to have the correct intel before they can make the game plan or the op, right? Yeah. And then last but not least, it's time to execute. Obviously we need to make sure that we've got the expertise to execute. We've got the research and the game plan, but once it happens, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. This isn't the old school Ron Popeil set it and forget it. It doesn't work like that, because what ends up happening is once we start down that path and we start executing, right? Once the game is afoot and starts being played, you're constantly getting new data coming in. Hey, these are the plays they're running. Hey, this guy got hurt. I think we've got an opportunity, against their backup, right? The data and the intel are constantly changing, and you have to have that flexibility and that fluidity to be able to change. And sometimes it's these little micro changes. You make this little micro change here that leads to a 1% change over here that leads to $1 million over here. Mm-hmm. That's how sensitive these things are. And so that's why we need all these expensive tools so that we can get the best data, the best intel coming in real time so that we can make the best decisions, right? Yeah. All you got to do is think about a doctor or a dentist. So I had a client, he's an endodontist. And I asked him, what's the most important thing to you? He's like, I have invested so much money in this technology. And then he went through and explained, it's like a cone beam CT, right? And he explained to me what it is and why it was so important. Well, if you're in an incredible amount of pain and you go to a general dentist, what ends up happening is you get a 2D image. He's invested in this tool that gives him a 3D image of your mouth. And the data that I actually researched on my own says that it gives you a 64% better image and better diagnosis. Better diagnosis leads to better treatment. It's the exact same parallel for us. Yeah. The better the data, the better we can make strategic decisions to get you results faster.
Yeah, yeah. You said it. You hit the head on the nail right there. And I mean, anyone can benefit from SEO. I mean, I'm a paid search, fanatic as well, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that organic, if you put in the time, the muscle, the research, and implementation, I mean, there's nothing better than free traffic. I mean, and oh my goodness. I mean, a lot of people scroll past those ads anyway and look to see what's organically number one. So I mean,
Yeah, I do.
yeah, I know I do as well. I
I do.
mean, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and here's the thing that I'd love for your listeners that are thinking about it, if they're on the fence with SEO, to really consider is, one of our number one rules in marketing is go where your clients are hanging out, right? And so if they're hanging out on Facebook, you need to be on Facebook. If they're hanging out on Instagram, you need to be on Instagram. If they're hanging out on LinkedIn, they're hanging out in Vogue magazine, right? You need to go there. Number one. Number two, they're all in Google, and they're all in the heat of the search because they all want a solution to whatever problem that they've got. And so they are more ready buyers, right? See, because if we do Facebook ads, it's almost like a radio ad. It's almost like a TV ad. It's an interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's interruption marketing. It's interruption advertising. But Google, they're coming to you.
Hot.
Because they're coming to you. They're hot, and they're, I'm not going to search for, a personal injury attorney just for kicks. I'm going to do it because either me or somebody in my family has gotten hurt, and I need to talk to a professional now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're not on that first page, you're not getting my call. Because think about it, there's 10 results per page, and if there are 10 personal injury attorneys listed on page 1, do you think I'm going to get, even if you're ranked number 1 on page 2, you think I'm going to call 11 personal injury attorneys, or do you think I'm probably going to find somebody that can handle my problem within the first 10? All right. Number 1. And then number 2, a lot of these guys, especially in the older professions, and the brick and mortar professions, to get on page 1 isn't as hard as you think it is. And the reason why is because a lot of the guys that are on page 1 are there accidentally because they've just been around longer. They had the first website that went up. They've got, a little bit of traffic going, but they're not actively, practicing search engine optimization.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden it's like you get a professional in there and you could shoot way up the boards in a pretty short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
And
so
then
much
all of a
opportunity, man.
Yeah.
Locally.
Yeah. And it's just, so the nice thing about it is you can get an ROI, that's return on investment. I hate using acronyms, but you can get your return on your investment and actually start making a profit really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And so whatever it is, if you're spending $1,000 and you're bringing in $10,000 worth of business, what do?
Yeah.
You do more of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And right now,
it pays for itself.
I'm running ads right now for a large Fortune 500 national company, and I look at the organic, conversions compared to the paid conversions, and I'm like, man, we don't even need to be running paid. I mean, it's the ROI. I mean, it's just in the thousands. Like, it's wild, So it's very lucrative. It's very profitable, and I believe it's the king of all advertising is SEO.
I'd agree with that. I mean, and trust me, I have I've taken a lot of those shiny objects and a lot of those magic bullets just to kick around and try them out. And I have yet to find anything better than,
Yeah.
you're the number one guy. 'Cause here's the thing. This is really important. If you're on the first page of Google, right? So the first step is to get ranked. And the second step is to have a website that is modern design and has great content on that, right? Because if I'm having a pain in my mouth and I'm looking for an endodontist, I probably don't know what endodontist means. I probably am just looking for pain in my tooth, and but then I go to your site and you educate me on what the problem is. And what that does is it builds your authority on the subject matter. It builds your credibility in your profession. And all of a sudden, that makes it so the choice is easy.
Yeah.
Being ranked number one builds credibility. That's a 1-2 punch. Okay. Ranked number one, boom, you just stunned them. Number two, you come back in with all this great content and all this educational stuff. That's a 1-2 punch. It just knocks them out. Decision's over. We're coming to you.
Yeah.
We're coming in. We're calling you up. We're making an appointment. We're coming into you.
And even the competitors will show you respect, and they'll try to probably backlink to you, hoping to get a backlink. So it's a lot to it, man. Like, you'll get respect all from everywhere. Your competitors, clients, customers. So
yeah. And so just to wrap that story up, I mean, that the endodontist we worked with was brand spanking new, right? No website, so nothing going for them. But we got them ranked pretty quickly, and we had that website was like, we educated people on why the investment into these expensive tools that he had made him a superior choice to all the guys that didn't have it. And within 6 months of opening up his practice, he was already in the black. Like, that's how impactful the combination of SEO and then a marketing website can be.
Hey, for my listeners out there, if you're not doing SEO, if you have any doubts or concerns, or maybe you hadn't even heard what it was, so now you're getting the inside scoop, and you need to be looking into investing in some education, or agencies such as Mr. Wong or myself. Reach out to us, and we'll get you straightened out. But I know we've been on here. I've enjoyed speaking with you. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
I'm watching my battery. My battery is about to
I'm enjoying. I can talk to you all day, man. I love this stuff.
Hear you.
And I appreciate you coming on. Where can people find you at online if they're looking for you, if they're looking for your services?
Yeah, you can check out the Ultimate Business Growth Playbook over at exponentialclients.com. And you'll find it at the bottom of the website. I buried it, is my email address if you want to give me a shout there. Otherwise, honestly, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on there a lot, and I put a lot of great content out on there. And so even if you just sort of follow my postings on LinkedIn, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot.
And I'm probably going to conclude my conclusion. But if you brought up a good point, if you're not on LinkedIn, people, you need to be on LinkedIn. You need to really, just like your Facebook page, or you did back in the day on MySpace, fixing up your page, making it look good, interacting with people, talking to people. You need to be on there. Like, I've gotten so many great opportunities off LinkedIn. I took a LinkedIn course. Just know everything about LinkedIn. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. So connect with Mr. Creighton on LinkedIn. Get your LinkedIn together, especially if you're a business owner. You need to be on LinkedIn. Or if you're just an employee looking for a job. I mean, there's so many opportunities on LinkedIn. So,
Yeah.
all right then, and all of his information will be in the show notes wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you have any concerns or questions, inbox me, email Mr. Creighton, and I mean we'll get back to you. And so, yeah, I appreciate you coming on once again.
Hey, it's fun. It's always a good time to talk to a fellow SEOer and geek out a little bit. And I to your listeners, I hope you feel our enthusiasm and passion for what we do.
Most that I'm a data nerd. I mentioned that earlier
There
to
you
you,
go.
but hey,
There
I
you go.
love this stuff. All right, man. Have a good rest of your day. I know it's 6 a.m. over there in Vietnam, man. I appreciate you, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Oh, I hear you. I can hear the roosters yelling out at me next door. So
All right.
yeah.
All
Okay.
right, man. Take it easy, brother.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.